Hello, good morning, Justice Latchoo. How are you doing?
Good morning, Aurora. I am great.
I
Nice
would
to
just,
see you again.
it's nice to see you too, especially after the Media Freedom Conference, which was so comprehensive and in depth. And I would like to thank you for being on the panel and all your comments as well.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. I always love hearing from people who are actually in the trenches.
I think it's something we definitely need, which is why the MIC newsletter really wanted to interview you this week. We know that you've done a fantastic book called Newsroom Law, and I was wondering if you could just talk about that a little bit. And then I have a few questions
Yes.
about journalists and legislation, but please feel free to take the floor and talk about Newsroom Law.
Thank you. Thank you for appreciating my book.
It has really made a difference for me personally, as well as someone who's doing my PhD. It's been my Bible for my law chapter, so that
What?
it has been it has it has been incredibly helpful. But I'd like to ask you, what would you tell journalists in the region? What do they need to know about legislation when it comes to press freedom?
Thank you for the question. When I was working as a journalist in the 80s and 90s, I know my colleagues and I sometimes felt, oh my gosh, lawyers are the worst. If we listen to them, we'd never publish anything. Telling us we can't write this, we can't say that. Yes, it did feel like that sometimes. But actually, after I qualified as an attorney at law, and I never stopped reading and researching media law specifically, I came to realize that an understanding and appreciation of the law would really enhance journalists' ability to do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to tell journalists that the law actually loves you.
It
Individuals,
wants to defend you.
individuals may not appreciate you, but the law actually loves you because you are a manifestation of that constitutionally guaranteed right called freedom of expression. And specifically in Trinidad and Tobago, we include freedom of the press. And actually, I'd like to quote from a case from the 1980s, Justice Anthony Luckey, in a case which involved the right of the state to apply a tax for the importation of newsprint. He actually explained why the courts must jealously guard freedom of the press. And this is what Justice Anthony Luckey said in that case. He said, freedom of the press is not the right of the media only. It is a fundamental right of the individuals or people of this country. It is the right of society. Therefore, any infringement of that right against any person, be it a newspaper or the electronic media, is an infringement against society. And when journalists or media houses go to court, the decision may not always be in your favor. But when you get right to the heart of it, the law, the courts support you. They recognize how important you are, what you represent. You are actually there. Your expression of the right of freedom of expression is an expression of society's right. So you represent and protect us. So the courts really love you. And media houses sometimes have to be courageous and take matters to court to get the courts to pronounce on any infringement of that right. We have to be brave and challenge
I know that they,
actions and get the courts to pronounce on them.
and I thank you for saying that, because I think there's such a culture of self-censorship and a worry about people in higher positions utilizing the law to keep journalists sort of in that chill zone with the chilling effect, and to make them afraid to come to bring things to the court or follow up things. So it's amazing, and it's so important that you've just said that the law loves journalists and wants
It does.
and that is a really
And there's another favorite quote I have. You've heard it before, but I'm going to repeat it again because I like it so much. It's from an old English case in the 90s by an English judge called Judge Sedley. And he said, freedom to speak only inoffensively is not worth having. So keep speaking offensively.
And I know all journalists will appreciate that one for sure. Speaking about journalists, I would really love to know, you've had such an amazing career thus far, and no doubt you are forging ahead even further. But if we would take it back to the 80s and 90s, like you were talking about, what do you miss most about being a journalist?
Actually, there's a time when it all comes together and it's almost a magical moment. It evaporates quickly, but there is that narrow window of time when the days and weeks of slogging, trying to find that one thread that will connect the bits and pieces of information you have been gathering, that last source that you have been trailing, when you find your quarry, when it all comes together in that moment, and you can say, yes, I've got it, and it goes to press or it goes on air, there is just that moment when it's almost magical, and you just say, ah.
Amazing.
That feeling is unbeatable. The fulfillment of all your hard work, the sleepless nights, the rude phone calls, people slamming doors in your face, calling you names sometimes. It's not like that all the time, but there's that moment, particularly when you're an investigative journalist and you're really hunting something and you yourself, you're beginning to doubt yourself and lose faith, but you say, no, this is too important. I can't stop. I know it's out there. The truth is out there and I'm going to get it. When it all comes together in that brief moment, that feeling is unbeatable. Then you have to get up the next morning and try to do it all again. But really, that adrenaline rush, hard to find that anywhere else. And that's why truly, I applaud the journalists who have stuck with it over the years. I seriously applaud. Yes, I ran away. I really appreciate you. And I applaud those journalists who have been digging their heels in and still believe in the importance of going for that magical moment when it all comes together.
Well, that is a really beautiful way to close our interview. It's a feeling that I think a lot of our audience will appreciate and think about and reflect on, especially now at this particular time in the region, when we need to hold on to those types of values and feelings in order to get through our work. And I want to thank you so much for being a part of this this month's MIC newsletter. I know that we will be hearing so much more from you. And just want to wish you a really great day.
Thank you. And I really hope that the book Newsroom Law, which came together with the help and support of a lot of people, is of true assistance to journalists.
I know
I really hope that you use it, and I appreciate any feedback.
I bet after this day you'll be getting lots. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Aurora.
Bye.
Keep doing great work. Bye.
Bye.